report today suggesting Labor is looking at stage 3 of the income tax cuts that are legislated but have not yet come in. Joining me live is Assistant Minister for Competition, Charities and Treasury, Andrew Leigh. Thanks very much for your time. So, not scrap altogether but wind back. This was the report today. Is this a discussion? Is this on the table? What's happening here?
Tom, nothing's changed in terms of our position. This is a policy that we said at the election that we'd follow through on. We've got nothing changed there. Our focus in the next budget is multinational taxation, where there's a lot of work to be done, building on the global effort, but also closing local loopholes in the interest of making sure that Australian firms face a level playing field.
Pretty uncontroversial. It will raise some money and help, but stage 3 is a lot more money in terms of cost to the budget. Is it fair to say that if you come up with something that's a different type of spend, maybe a bit less, but still giving tax release, that would be more defensible than just, oh, we're scrapping them, they're gone?
Well, the British government, I think, was in quite a different situation, Tom, to what we're facing. I mean, there was a real contrast there between their fiscal and monetary policy authorities, and that was the issue the IMF went to directly. We don't face that in Australia. The Reserve Bank and the government very much in lockstep in terms of fighting the inflation challenge. Their focus on the demand side accords with our focus on the supply side through things like trying to put downward pressure on energy prices and ensuring we've got cheaper childcare. So we're very much working in with the monetary policy authorities to get strong economic growth continuing.
But it's true that we're in a very different fiscal position now than when the tax cuts were passed, stage 3. That's true, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Certainly the $1 trillion of debt that we've got at the moment is a challenge that governments face, and that's a debt level which is about triple what it was when the Liberals came to office.
So if you're sort of looking at all areas and you rein in a bit of spending in defence, there might be some saving you can make in whatever it might be. Income tax cuts, and you change it a little bit, it's just part of every policy area doing its bit. That'd be a fair argument to make, wouldn't it?
And Tom, we're sticking to the policies we took to the election. I think that's important for the integrity of the democracy.
Okay.
You saw before the election, big drop in the share of people who said that they could trust politicians to do the right thing. So it is important that after the election, we are the government that we said we would be before.
So it's interesting though. So trust to do the right thing. They might be argued to be two different things in this case, depending on your view of the budget. Trust to keep your promise, but is the right thing still to spend this much money on a stage 3 income tax cut for the economy?
Well, as the Prime Minister's made clear, Tom, we're keen to deliver on our promises. You just saw that with the National Integrity Commission. One of the reasons the Coalition were turfed out is that in 2019 they said they'd put in place National Anti-Corruption Commission and then they didn't do it. We've promised that National Anti-Corruption Commission. We've followed through with that bill introduced into Parliament last week. And I think that holds true for other policy areas as well.
Okay, and so another revenue-raising option is gas. We have a huge natural advantage, massive amounts of gas in the country, but at the moment the government's making almost nothing from it and consumers are just getting the international price. We're throwing away this advantage, aren't we?
Well, Madeline King's working in with the gas producers to make sure that they're doing their bit to ensure that they're dealing with the challenges of rising energy costs in Australia. She'll continue that important work.
But all that is just making sure we've got enough supply, which still at international prices is what it's going to be. So we're getting no advantage with our gas compared to anyone else that's buying it around the world.
Well, the gas producers pay regular taxes as other corporations would, and they're deducting against that the expenses that they've incurred in putting in place their quite significant infrastructure over past years.
They're huge tax breaks, aren't they? They mean that we're basically getting nothing from this.
Well, they've got deductions, as any firm that had put in place significant investment would have done. And I suppose
the PRRT has been spoken about before. It wasn't actually designed for this industry, and it means the tax breaks they're getting are bigger than they would be for other providers, non-gas in this industry.
Well, the argument that you'll hear from the gas producers is that you need incentives to invest, and part of that incentive is the stability of the tax system.
Do you agree with that argument?
No, I think that's a strong argument in terms of the integrity of the tax system and the incentives you put in place for firms to invest.
Do you agree with it? I mean, you said it's the argument from the gas industry. Is it a good argument?
I think it's got a lot of merit. I think it is important that governments provide that stability of taxation as firms make investment decisions.
You don't think it's an area ripe where we could make some more money and help the budget?
Well, I'm sensitive to the fact, Tom, that the gas producers are making very long-dated investments. Some firms are investing now for a return that'll pay off in a few years' time. But
I think it could scare some away.
In the resources industry, they really are making investments that are going over multiple decades. So that stability of the tax framework is important as they're making those decisions.